WNBA finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, it's obviously...
The WNBA finals ended in heartbreak, and emotions spilled over in a way the league has never seen before. A voice cracked on camera, admitting disappointment, pain, and the human cost of words spoken too carelessly. Families were affected. Children were hurt. And while those comments may have seemed isolated, the fallout was anything but small. What followed was a seismic collision that now threatens to leave permanent scars on the WNBA. In a move that shocked analysts and sent fear through ownership circles, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert effectively declared the current collective bargaining negotiations stalled beyond repair. This was not a delay or a pause. It was a full collapse. Communication broke down completely, signaling a looming war between the league's leadership and the very players who power it. While official statements pointed to financial structures and sustainability concerns, insiders insist the truth is far more personal and volatile. This entire negotiation unraveled not because of spreadsheets or projections, but because of a reported refusal by the one figure the league cannot afford to alienate, Caitlin Clark. For the first time, the league's golden asset pushed back, and the consequences now threaten to tear everything apart just as the WNBA reached its moment of greatest success. To truly grasp how serious this breakdown is, you have to rewind the story nearly 18 months. Caitlin Clark's arrival didn't just raise TV ratings, it completely disrupted the WNBA's economic framework. Before her emergence, the league functioned in survival mode. Revenues were limited, growth was gradual, and players were conditioned to accept small improvements with gratitude. The 2020 CBA was written for that version of the league. But Clark changed everything. Her presence unleashed a tidal wave of attention that erased the old assumptions overnight. Ticket prices jumped as much as 300% in cities she visited. Television networks entered fierce bidding wars, resulting in historic media deals worth billions. Suddenly, the league was flush with cash. Yet the players, the women creating this value, remained bound to contracts that treated them like part-time labor. That contradiction created intense pressure inside locker rooms. The league celebrated unprecedented growth publicly while privately telling players like Clark, Angel Reese, and veterans such as Breanna Stewart that there still wasn't enough money for basic necessities like private travel or true revenue sharing. The hypocrisy became impossible to ignore. Players watched commissioners praise a bright future, fully aware they wouldn't see meaningful benefits from new media deals until at least 2027. Frustration boiled, but it lacked a singular force. Until now. That leverage arrived quietly, away from cameras and press conferences. Reports began to surface that the league approached its biggest stars about new marketing initiatives meant to capitalize on the surge of fans. They wanted documentaries, promotional campaigns, constant access. And they wanted Caitlin Clark at the center of it all. But instead of automatic compliance, they hit resistance. Sources say Clark, alongside other elite players, refused to participate in these revenue-generating activities under the current agreement. It was a silent strike. No press release. No dramatic announcement. Just non-participation. And that was enough. By withholding her image, Clark froze the league's ability to monetize its biggest asset. The message was unmistakable. You don't get Caitlin Clark's value without paying for it. That refusal ignited the collapse of negotiations. Engelbert, known for her corporate discipline and controlled approach, suddenly found herself cornered. She couldn't force players to promote a league they believed was exploiting them. Ending negotiations became a defensive maneuver, an attempt to reclaim control of the narrative. But it was a dangerous gamble. By walking away, the league risks alienating the very workforce delivering its product. This dispute isn't just about salaries. It's about equity, fairness, and power. At the heart of the conflict is a fundamental imbalance. In the NBA, players receive roughly half of basketball-related income. When the league grows, players benefit automatically. The WNBA doesn't work that way. Revenue sharing only triggers after hitting extremely high benchmarks, thresholds nearly unreachable before Clark arrived. Now that those targets are close, players are realizing they were never designed to truly pay out. Owners can manipulate expenses to keep shared revenue artificially low. Clark's refusal to assist with league marketing exposes this injustice directly. Why should she help generate hundreds of millions more when her compensation remains capped far below her impact? Add to this the rise of the unrivaled league, launched by Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, promising six-figure salaries and equity. For the first time, WNBA players have a real alternative. Clark reportedly has a massive offer waiting there. She doesn't need the WNBA to be wealthy or famous anymore. This flips the power dynamic completely. Engelbert isn't negotiating with desperate athletes. She's negotiating with stars who already have exit plans. The timing of ending talks, right after the players' union opted out, suggests the league was stunned by how aggressive the players' demands had become. Those demands were likely bold: charter flights for every team, dramatic salary increases, and possibly retroactive compensation for years of undervalued labor. Owners, long accustomed to operating a league that lost money, likely balked. But public sentiment has shifted sharply. Fans know the money exists. They see sold-out arenas, booming jersey sales, and massive media deals. When negotiations were halted, fans didn't see responsibility, they saw greed. Clark has weaponized her popularity without ever asking for a specific dollar amount publicly. She's simply disengaged. That passive resistance makes it nearly impossible to portray her as the villain. Bridge deal rumors only deepen mistrust. Such temporary fixes benefit owners by delaying transparency. Clark's refusal to endorse a stopgap agreement likely ended talks entirely. The charter flight saga proves why players are angry. For years, they were told private travel was impossible until Clark arrived and $25 million suddenly appeared. The money was always there. Trust was broken. So when negotiations ended, players heard a different message. The league is done pretending to care. Now the stakes are enormous. If Engelbert holds her position, a lockout in 2026 becomes very real. That would be catastrophic. Momentum would vanish overnight. Networks would revolt. Sponsors would flee. Engelbert knows this, yet she appears to be betting that financial pressure will force players to surrender. But reports suggest she miscalculated the unity of the locker room. Clark's stance has galvanized the union like never before. Bench players want higher floors. Stars want fair shares. Clark binds them together. Her refusal to accept a personal side deal keeps the union unbreakable. Legal risks are also mounting. Ending negotiations prematurely could be seen as bad faith bargaining, opening the door to labor board challenges. The conflict is escalating beyond sports into courtrooms and public opinion, where Clark holds immense influence. Owners themselves are divided between old guard cost cutters and progressive investors who want growth. Clark's silence empowers the latter. It's strategic, calculated, and devastatingly effective. The league may attempt to paint players as ungrateful, leaking stories about greed and excess. But that strategy is dangerous. Clark's fame predates the WNBA. She brought her audience with her, smearing her risks of fan revolt. Her approach, quiet refusal, shields her from attack. This moment also represents a generational shift. Older athletes were taught to be grateful for opportunity. Clark comes from the nil era, where value is measured precisely. She rejects scarcity thinking. She's forcing the WNBA to act like a major league now, not someday. The league's fragile infrastructure is exposed. Profitability built on suppressing labor costs doesn't work in star-driven entertainment. You cannot cap transformational talent. History proves that. Ending negotiations signals that leadership values the model more than the product, a dangerous mistake. Sponsors didn't sign up for lockouts or chaos. They signed up for Caitlin Clark. And right now, she's holding all the leverage. Rumors of a solidarity fund suggest top players are prepared to financially support others during a work stoppage, neutralizing the owner's biggest weapon, fear. If players can sit out, owners bleed money. Empty arenas, lost ad revenue, spoiled momentum. This standoff also threatens future talent pipelines. Young stars are watching closely. Why rush into a league at war with its biggest names? Alternative leagues and overseas options suddenly look attractive. Clark's refusal sends a warning to the next generation. Don't sign until terms are right. When the commissioner says end of negotiations, it may signal a forced final offer. But that assumes players have no options. Clark has already proven otherwise. The league no longer controls fame or relevance.